Don't you think that it's boring how people talk? Making smart with their words again. Well, I'm bored. Because I'm doing this for the thrill of it, killing it, never not chasing a million things I want. And I am only as young as the minute is full of it, getting pumped up on the little bright things I want. But I know they'll never own me.
It's crazy how different generations can view life so differently. So we took a look at 3 different generations' views on life to compare them.
I was born in 2001.
Jackson currently attends Drake Middle School as an 8th grader. He is active in sports and enjoys his time at school. We first asked him what the point of school was.
The point of school is to help you prepare for your future and kind of like prepare you for like being successful, I guess.
We then asked him what he does in his free time.
After school I usually play video games or hang out with my friends. Then if I either play football after school or go to lacrosse practice.
We then asked him what sources he used to communicate with his friends and family.
Probably my cell phone. Most of the time if we're not hanging out we always are texting, so yeah, my cell phone.
When you start working, what defines being successful?
Being able to support yourself by like the amount of money you make, is being able to support yourself and like successfully, I guess.
Do you find any success in happiness with your job, or is it more about money?
I guess kind of both. I mean, if you love what you do, I mean, that's being more successful than making money and doing something you hate. So I guess kind of like both.
Okay.
What kind of music do you listen to?
I listen to like rock or like alternative rock, something like that.
What are your favorite possessions?
Probably my bike, because I use that to get everywhere. My lacrosse stick, because I can't play without it. And my cell phone.
We then asked him, would you rather work alone or in a group, and why?
On my own, because when I work in a group, I always end up doing all the work, and I don't like that when I work alone, I get more stuff done.
How often do you use technology?
Every day. During school, I am always on a computer at least once a day. At home, I'm either playing video games or on my phone or doing homework on the computer, so every day of my life.
And what is your favorite piece of technology?
Probably my cell phone, because I use that to communicate with my friends, and I use that sometimes to check my grades and homework and for stuff like that.
If you were offered a spot at another school that was a new, fun, different experience, but you'd have to leave your friends, would you go?
Like, say you went to study abroad in, like, California.
Oh, definitely, because I love California, and I'm a social person, so I think it'd be easy for me to make friends, and experiencing new things is always fun.
If you had to choose between someone emailing you, writing you a letter, or sending you a text, which one would you choose?
Text, because it's faster, and I don't always check my email because I don't get many emails, and a letter because the letters take forever.
So my first question is, what year were you born, just to place you in a generation?
1971.
Jennifer currently works at the Leonard Institute as a family nurse practitioner. She is a proud mother and enjoys exercising and singing. We first asked, how do you feel about receiving feedback?
I generally feel fine with that. I don't get too nervous or feel like I did anything wrong. I like having feedback because it helps me get better at what I do.
What motivates you to complete tasks?
I think partly it's just my internal desire to get things done, and I don't like to procrastinate because that makes me nervous, and so I feel like when I have a task to do, I just do it so that I can move on to the next thing and not have to worry.
How important is technology in your life?
Very important for my job, both my jobs.
Do you see yourself using one form of technology more than the other? Like, would you use a computer over a phone, or do you use them about equally?
For my full-time job, I use the computer primarily, and the telephone. Probably like 75-25, computer, phone. And then for my part-time job, I use my phone pretty much 100%, maybe 90%, and then 10% computer.
Okay.
What possessions in your life could you not live without?
Probably just, my social media outlets and stuff like that.
Okay.
My phone mostly.
Say you were given an option to communicate through a text message, an email, or a letter. Which one would you choose?
Definitely text. I used to use email more, and I found that lately email, people just aren't paying attention to emails anymore. Actually, I think like quick messages like Facebook messaging or texting is actually the best and fastest way for people to respond.
So if someone were to communicate with you, would you choose them to text you or email?
Definitely text.
What national events happened during your life that changed your view of the world?
I would say just the different wars that I've been through in my lifetime. That really affected my perception of what we're doing in the United States and my safety and all the small little wars that we're fighting. In terms of more personal effects, I think something like 9/11 was the most touching because I actually knew a couple people who lost folks in that.
Did you see a change in your daily life because of those events, or more in your broad perspective of things?
Earlier on, when I was in college, and the Gulf War was going on, that was more just like eye-opening and waking me up to the reality of our safety. And then in more recent times, like with 9/11, that was more, I had a big wake up about my kids and, gosh, what if something like that happened to my kids or to me? So it was a little bit more personal later on.
During your time in high school, what would you do with your free time?
I did sports. That's all I did in my free time. And then I also had a boyfriend, so those two things were pretty much what I did all the time. I didn't do a lot of, I didn't like go to the movies a lot or anything like that. I was really huge into sports, so most of the time I was doing like a sporting event or practice or hanging out with my boyfriend and his friends and my friends.
Have you learned anything from having a job or work experience that you would not have learned otherwise?
Oh God, yes, absolutely. So many things. Organizational skills, personal skills, problem solving, just a sense of my own sense of worth. Just the ability to push harder and to strive for more things is what I feel like I've always learned along the way.
So building on top of that, what do you consider being successful?
Number one is being happy. So like for me, I don't want to be doing anything unless it's bringing me joy, and because certain things can bring you a lot of money and you might not be really fulfilled or happy, and to me that's way more important, is just feeling like what I'm doing is making a difference for people and that I'm having a good time doing it and feeling good about myself.
Okay.
What kind of music did you like growing up or even now?
I really have always liked rock and roll. As I've gotten older, I like more folk kind of music and more indie music. But kind of classic rock was what I listened to when I was a teenager, and then as I've gotten older, it's just a little bit more eclectic stuff.
Our last question was, if you were offered the same job at a different company, but with a whole new experience, would you take it?
Absolutely.
Would Would you do it for the experience, just to learn something new?
Yes, and also because my personality type, I get bored easily, so that's always a struggle for me to stay somewhere for very long, so I would always take the opportunity to do something different.
Okay, thank you.
Our first question is, what year were you born?
I don't believe it. 1929. 100 years ago.
Mary Jo worked most of her life as a nurse. She currently is living at the retirement and nursing home Gardens on Quail. Mary Jo spends her days at Gardens doing many activities, such as gardening, enjoying the sun, and throwing back to the old times. We first asked, what do you think is the most important thing about work?
It gave me a good work ethic. It wasn't easy, but you have to have a certain amount of perseverance to keep going. And it made me, there was discipline. It gave me discipline, and let me think. A course to follow for my life. And going in, I didn't really know whether that was what I really wanted to do. But after doing it, I realized that was really, because I have done other things, but that was the most important.
Going into work as a nurse, what was being successful?
The least part was money. The satisfaction I got from working with the sick people was my reward. I had no other, nothing else mattered. And it was, even when later, when I was no longer had the patient contact, because then they move you up always into administration and all that. I didn't like it. I like the hands-on.
So you learned more from the people you were working with than administration and things like that.
Oh, I learned more from the patients, or from actually doing it. You have to decide where in this you're going to, what you want to do, I guess. And for some, this isn't as important, but for me it was. Like I say, being with, actually hands-on with the people.
What motivates you to complete tasks?
Oh, I think the satisfaction and the gratification that I got from doing it.
How would you handle feedback or constructive criticism?
Very well. I think it's very important to have that, to know where you're at, and so that you can improve.
What is your ideal way of communication?
First is talk. Other than that, well, of course, with my problems, I would do certainly the email and stuff like that. But first, I like the one-on-one communication.
So it's valued to see someone face to face.
Yes, face-to-face.
What national events in your life changed the way you lived?
Nothing really has affected me as far as changing. I just, as things happen, I just, of course it saddened me, and I went through all the emotions. But as far as, and then learning to cope with what you're faced with, I think, is probably the biggest thing. Other than that, it didn't affect me adversely in any other way. It's just, all these things help you grow.
How important is technology in your life?
Let me tell you, I do not like it. I mean, I know it's necessary, but when I compare now and then, it was so much easier without all this technology.
Yeah.
I know that it's helped a lot, and I'm very thankful for that. But I can do without it. But I know the world can't. And so that I'm averse to learning new stuff because I'm not. I'm interested in a lot of stuff still. But it's supposed to be perfect. But there's so many flaws in it that, you know, when I can write, I can do it faster than trying to do it with, you know, the typing and all that stuff. So that's the way I feel about it. Like I say, it's a necessary evil.
Yeah.
Lastly, we asked, going back to when you were a nurse, when if you were offered a job at a different company for the same pay, but a whole new experience, would you take it?
But I would probably take it for the new experience. But I would also want to be loyal to where I am. So it would have to be something I'd have to weigh and think about and then decide from there.
As the interviews came to a close, our knowledge of generations was immensely expanded. The views of these three generations vary, and how they are similar is truly remarkable. And seeing how each person fits into their generation, and their generation fits into the world, is such an important aspect of life. Life only gives you the option of moving forward, but that doesn't mean you can't learn from the past.